When we hear the word vampire, we immediately think of the famous Dracula, or maybe even the classic Nosferatu. Though these creatures of Hollywood are seen as scary, the historic accounts of vampires are far more chilling than any movie. Vampires are in no way recent. Every culture has a type of vampire, a being who was thought to be dead, coming back to feast on the living. The historic vampire may resemble what we call a zombie, but the difference is that the so-called vampire would attack the living with their spirit, never leaving the coffin. Ancient cultures began this folklore with tales describing the dead tormenting the living, feasting on their flesh or blood. Death and the unknown are primal human fears, and their roots show in many of the cultural folklores around the world. Vampirism moved to Western society not long after the United States were founded. People would die suddenly, from what we now know as tuberculosis, and be accused of coming back from the dead and feasting on the blood or life force of the living. These were not strangers. The vampires were neighbors, friends, and even family members. The victims of these vampires would claim to see the ghost of the recently deceased coming to their room and trying to strangle them. After many people in towns began to see the same hallucinations, townspeople jumped to action. Volunteers would travel to where the recently deceased would have been buried, whether it be a graveyard, a shallow grave, or just a hole in the ground. The frightened townspeople would dig up the corpse and inspect it for signs of decay. In these days, people did not have a grasp on how organic matter decays, including the human body. Those who exhumed the grave often saw nails growing, skin looking fresh, and healthy blood flowing from the wounds. They interpreted this as the corpse not actually being dead, but being the ghastly creature attacking their loved ones. Any mortician will tell us now that the body does not grow new nails or hair upon death, but as the skin recedes, the nails and hair appear to be growing, and the fat and oils emerging from flesh make the corpse appear shiny. Depending on where the vampire was located, the corpse may have not decayed for months. The victims' families were desperate for a cure, a release from the grasp of the vampire. First, they began to dismember the corpse. They would impale the heart, decapitate the body, mangle the limbs, and even shove bricks down the corpse's throat. Anything to prevent the vampire from attacking the living. When the heart was impaled, many corpses audibly groaned. This is a natural phenomenon, caused by gases inside the corpse moving up the throat as pressure is placed on the abdominal region. The slow-moving gas makes a groan as it leaves the mouth, giving the illusion that the corpse feels pain as it's being impaled. Some cultures began to bury their dead facing down, so if this person was a vampire, they would become confused in the coffin and could not escape. Other cultures simply drove stakes into the limbs of the corpse before burial, just to make sure the vampire was incapacitated. When these rituals did not work, some people began to try stranger tactics. A common, yet disgusting tactic against a vampire was to rip the heart from the corpse, burn it, mix the ashes into water, and feed it to the victims being affected by the so-called vampire. It may seem strange and appalling to us now, but because this tactic resulted in someone coincidentally becoming healthy, people continued to practice this. It didn't work every time, but this practice had earned somewhat of a reputation of soothing ailments. As science and other discoveries regarding the human body emerged, lore of a vampire began to die out. People no longer gave the vampire any mind, knowing that tuberculosis caused death, and the decay process varies per individual. The hallucinations of the so-called vampire are still unexplained. Perhaps it was paranoia among the town. Maybe it was hysteria from the fear of a once-loved neighbor entering your house to drink your life away. Or maybe, just maybe, there was some truth to the vampire. Do you believe in vampires? The undead? Let me know in the comments. I love to hear your opinions. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Let me know if you would like another folklore discussed, or a scary story narrated. Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye.